Detective Shepherd, this facility appears suspiciously inaccessible.
It's a good observation.
How are we to bypass the barbed wire?
By going through the metal detectors.
And how do we access the metal detectors?
Hopefully my badge can get us in.
No offense attended, Detective Shepherd.
But
Your badge has been completely and unequivocally useless up to this point.
I'll be the first to admit my badge isn't good for much, but it can get us into a public high school.
Pardon me, detective, but I was under the impression that the Belphi Institute closed the case months ago.
You are correct, Principal, but they left a lot of loose ends that the city now has to tie up.
And what interest does the city have with Philip Stimson?
Our job.
Right.
How long have you been employed with Cadmium City Public High School?
I work for Benefort Education Resources. It's an education management company the city contracts to run all of their public schools.
Of course. Now, what all can you tell me about Philip Stimson?
Not much. I'm afraid the school is pretty crowded. I don't get to know most of the students individually.
Can you give me anything? Transcripts, discipline records?
Not without parental consent.
That shouldn't be a problem. DL, can you get me Mindy Stimson's...
But you're not going to find anything. Philip was a good student who stayed out of trouble, for the most part.
So you do know something?
There's a little coming back now.
Yeah, like what?
He was having an affair with one of the teachers.
I'm sorry, come again?
Well, it's relatively new information. Was determined by the Belphi Institute just before the case was closed.
Oh, hold on a minute. I spent an entire afternoon talking to Mindy Stimson in her living room, and she didn't say anything about an affair with a teacher.
That's strange. The Belphi Institute should be keeping her in the loop.
I'm gonna need the name of this teacher and somewhere I can find her.
Her name is Sheila Edmonds, but I couldn't tell you where to find her. She went missing around the same time Philip did.
Are you for real right now?
That's why the Belphi Institute closed the case. They figured the two of them ran off together and Philip was declared a runaway.
Mrs. Stimson didn't mention a word of this. None of it is in our report. And just a minute ago, you didn't know anything.
Please mind the tone of your voice, detective. This is a school, after all.
With all due respect, Principal Davis, I need you to tell me everything you can about the day Philip went missing.
Well, I'm afraid I don't know much.
Don't you try to drag me down the dumb road again because I'm not following. DL, what do we have to offer, Miss Davis?
Sanction 4, Article 9, Obstruction of Justice. Article 3, Section 1, Perjury. Sanction 6, Article 1, Failure to cooperate.
Okay, I'm sorry. What is that?
The District Litigation Unit downloading every charge I'm going to file if I don't leave here with the information I need.
There was an incident on the day Philip Stimson went missing.
What kind of incident?
A shooting?
For fuck's sake!
Detective! Language! Please, if you don't calm down, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Kick me out of here and I'm gonna dig so deep into your school there'll be gossip in China. Now explain to me how a shooter got past your security.
The security staff only makes minimum wage. Little stuff gets by all the time.
Little stuff, like guns?
Which is why we have additional safety protocol put in place. Griffin managed to stop the shooter, drew his piece just in time, and wounded the kid in the shoulder.
Griffin is one of your security officers.
No, he's an English teacher.
Things went from bad to worse when the Benefort Corporation took over. First thing they did was cut the funding for extracurriculars. Everything from sports to arts, all of it. Then they stopped funding for new resources, technology, textbooks, updates.
There seems to be funding for security.
There has to be, Detective Shepherd. I can't even remember the last time I got any teaching done in my classroom. The kids that do come here come for two reasons: to get fed and to fight out gang battles.
Are a lot of them in gangs?
Most of them are. With no afternoon activities, all their parents working several jobs at all hours just to keep roofs over their heads. These kids have nowhere to go but the streets. No hope for the future, nothing to do, but I think you get the picture.
Just like when I was growing up. Glad to see we've come so far.
Obviously, someone gave you some direction at least.
Yeah, you could say that. I do appreciate you giving up your lunch to talk with me, Mr. Griffin.
Philip was a good kid. It's nice to see that someone cares about finding him.
What can you tell me about this alleged affair he was having with the teacher?
Miss Edmonds. Well, Sheila and Philip had a close relationship, but no one thought it was anything inappropriate until after they both vanished.
Do you think she could have had anything to do with his disappearance?
I doubt she kidnapped him, but the premise is locked down pretty heavy. I don't see how Philip could have escaped without the help of someone on staff.
Escaped from the shooter.
Davis didn't tell you, did she?
Tell me what.
The shooter was looking for Philip.
Silas Algernon, age 15, currently being held on charges including, but not limited to, assault with a deadly weapon, possession of a firearm, and possession of a firearm on school property. He is incarcerated at the West Cadmium Youth Center, one of several juvenile facilities owned and operated by the Belphi Institute.
Well, that's definitely not good news.
Also, I am finding no report for Sheila Edmonds in Cadmium City's missing persons database.
This just keeps getting weirder. End of episode 4.